I see the narcissist everywhere. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. I have spoken elsewhere about the concept of ever-presence. This is something that is created by the narcissist, either as a collateral consequence of behaviors to assert control, or as a deliberate act by an aware narcissist to basically mean that you have lots of reminders of us, that you can't turn one way or the other without having a reminder. So, for example, it may well be the case that the narcissist leaves some books that belong to him at your property. He does so not because, since he's an unaware narcissist, that he is leaving them there as an excuse to come back in the future, but he leaves them there in that moment because he has a sense of entitlement to leave his property wherever he likes. He's not showing any accountability for taking away his property when he ought to do so because it's in your house. He's showing a lack of boundary recognition also. You may not be too concerned about the fact that he's left some books there. It's okay. But when the relationship has ended, there's no attempt to come and collect them, and there they remain. They are sat on your bookshelf or your coffee table, and you see them. You repeatedly are reminded of the narcissist as a consequence of seeing those books, and thus the narcissist has created ever-presence as a consequence of his sense of entitlement and lack of accountability. The narcissist, for example, might wear a particular fragrance around you and then says, "I'll leave a bottle of this with you. You can spray it on your pillow or spray it on your nightwear so that you have the scent of me." The unaware narcissist does that in the moment for the purposes of making you feel special, because he's undertaking what appears to be a kind act. I know you're in love with me. I'm going to leave you the smell of me so that when I'm not here, you have a little reminder of me, and that's a lovely thing to do. Of course, what it then creates as a collateral consequence is that you have this bottle of fragrance that each time you are tempted to use it, you're reminded of the narcissist, or that you just lift it up and sniff the nozzle and you're reminded of the narcissist. Thus, ever-presence is created. An aware narcissist does this on purpose. Not only do they hand you the fragrance in the moment for the purpose of control in that moment, but the narcissist also does so in order to establish that ever-presence. And thus you will find that interwoven into so much of the things that you have done with the narcissist, there are all of these little reminders, and thus you end up seeing the narcissist everywhere. But it also goes beyond that. As a consequence of your heightened emotional thinking, when the relationship is over with the narcissist, whether you have escaped or whether more usually the narcissist is disengaged from you, your addiction to the narcissist wants to be fed. And therefore, it wants you to be thinking about the narcissist or talking about the narcissist. The narcissist is gone. You're not spending time with the narcissist, nor are you communicating with the narcissist. That has been denied to you, perhaps as a consequence of the narcissist moving on and finding somebody else to deal with, that they have a new intimate partner primary source. This poses a difficulty for your addiction. You're not spending time with the narcissist, nor is it possible for you to do so, even if you were minded to try and attempt to do that. Furthermore, with regard to communication, the narcissist has blocked you, and therefore even if you wanted to get in touch with the narcissist, or those you know you ought not to, you can't, because the narcissist has made it too difficult. This frustrates your addiction. It wants to be fed. It wants to ensure that it gets fed. And therefore, it creates the emotional thinking to go down alternative routes into different arenas, so that it causes you to be thinking about the narcissist, that you talk about the narcissist, that you might be spying on the narcissist, snooping. To compel you to do this, one of the things that your emotional thinking does to trick you is make you think that you see the narcissist when you actually do not. That you start to notice a similar car to that of which the narcissist drives. So let's say, for example, he drives a black Jaguar XF. You suddenly notice there are a lot of black Jaguar XFs in your neighborhood. You never noticed it before because you weren't paying any attention to them. But now it causes you to take note of them, and it reminds you of the narcissist. It isn't the narcissist driving. There are just a number of these vehicles. But your emotional thinking has seized hold of the connection to make you see the narcissist to be there when he or she is not. It causes you, perhaps, to think that you've seen the silhouette of the narcissist somewhere, their body shape, waiting on the other side of the road. It causes you to think that a noise that you hear in the night is linked to the narcissist. That innocuous occurrences are somehow a link to the narcissist. A common one is to believe that somehow the narcissist has hacked into your devices when this has not actually happened. That an ordinary glitch, for instance, your GPS fails to put you on the correct road, that you believe that somehow this is the work of the narcissist. This is where paranoia is seized upon by your emotional thinking to make you think that you've been hacked when there isn't actually any evidence to demonstrate that this has occurred, and most narcissists lack the technical competence to go down that route. Accordingly, there are two factors which arise to cause you to see the narcissist everywhere. On the one hand, it is the creation of ever-presence by the narcissist, either as a collateral consequence where an unaware narcissist, or the deliberate actions of an aware narcissist. In those instances, you are reminded of the narcissist by books, by gifts, of the way that the light comes in through a window onto a particular chair, particularly by music. You're reminded of certain places that you used to go to with the narcissist. Certain scents and aromas and fragrances evoke those images of being with the narcissist, and it is often painful for you. In order to deal with that, and it is a common occurrence for you to see the narcissist everywhere as a consequence of this ever-presence, you need to undertake the purge. And I set out in my excellent book, Exorcism, all of the steps that you can take to remove this ever-presence. Thus, you reduce the number of triggers that will cause the narcissist to pop into your head. But what about the other aspect of seeing the narcissist everywhere, where you believe that the narcissist has hacked devices, or that the narcissist is following you, or that something that has happened is as a consequence of the narcissist, or that you see the narcissist's car, or you see somebody who looks like the narcissist, or that there's a message that's left that you think was the narcissist but you can't be sure? Well, all of that is invariably driven by your emotional thinking. Now, of course, it behooves me to point out that narcissists do engage in some of those behaviours by way of hoovering, but not all. If you have a solid no-contact regime so that you keep the narcissist away from you, and usually where the narcissist has moved on to somebody else, you'll be left alone unless you continue to kick the hornet's nest. See in the Knowledge Vault, Kicking the Hornet's Nest, for more about that. But largely, where the narcissist is disengaged from you, moved on with somebody else, they don't want to hear from you, and nor will they bother with you, unless you have the particular misfortune to be on the receiving end of a malice campaign, and those are actually rather rare. More usually, it's a product of your emotional thinking that tries to keep you thinking about the narcissist and talking about the narcissist. I could swear, you say to your friend, the narcissist keeps driving past my house, or I'm sure that there's somebody across the road who's watching me, and it's him. Thus, this causes you not only to feed your addiction and increase your emotional thinking further, but it leads to the battery of feeling being charged so that you feel fearful and anxious, that you're worried about circumstances. What you must do in such instances is go to the evidence. You can see that it isn't the narcissist's car, it's just one that looks like them. That person across the road, go and see who it is, or take a picture, and you'll realise it's not the narcissist. Your mind just took you there. That many of the occurrences that you think might be undertaken by the narcissist as some kind of hidden hoover actually turn out not to be. They're either completely unrelated to you, or it's as a consequence of something else that's being driven by your emotional thinking. And the fact that you heard a bang in the middle of the night wasn't the narcissist kicking your door, but was perhaps an animal knocking something over in the street outside, or that you were dreaming. It's important to go to the evidence to find out if it is truly as what you believe it to be. Furthermore, the longer that you maintain your no-contact regimen, the quicker your emotional thinking will come down, and therefore this paranoid aspect of your emotional thinking will start to eventually fade and drain away, and then you won't bother so much about seeing the cars. It doesn't impact upon you. You don't think that you're being followed. You don't think that there's something mysterious going on with your bank account, because your emotional thinking lacks the power to take you down that route. Accordingly, it is common for you to see the narcissist everywhere, and it's part of either the behavior of the narcissist to create ever-presence or your own emotional thinking keeping you locked into thoughts and talking about and perhaps snooping on the narcissist because you're worried what they might do. There are remedies available. Undertake the purge to deal with ever-presence and implement the total no-contact regimen and the techniques that are associated with that to drive down your emotional thinking, thus starving it of the power to cause you to keep believing you're seeing the narcissist when actually they're nowhere near you. Furthermore, always embrace the logic. If you know the narcissist is in a new relationship and it's early on and therefore it'd be the golden period, there's no real reason why they would be contacting you. Go to that evidence. And of course, you can always raise the questions with me and receive cold, hard logic from the expert himself. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.